Gamercast Network.com.
All right, hello everybody. I think we're gonna get underway. We're getting some stragglers in. They could just come in and jump in. Yes,
Cool.
I'm Chris Paladino. I work for Microsoft. I am on the Gamerscore Blog. I'm on the Xbox community team, and this is the panel for podcasting the new media. I figure, yes, thank you. I want to keep it pretty open to questions, so I figure we'll just go down and explain who you are and what podcast you do, and then I'll ask a couple questions to get things started, and then there's a mic. You guys can line up, and we'll take them pretty much as soon as you stand there. You're first, Jay.
All right, I am Jay Van Beveren. I am co-host of Uncle Gamer Radio and the Remember When Show.
Awesome. I'm Natalie Sousa, and I am co-host of Achievement Junkie.
Give me that mic. I'm Danny Pena from Gamertag Radio. Everybody knows me as Godfree.
I'm Chad Hantak from the Gamercast Network video game show. I'm the host and one with the best mic on the show, so everyone was sorry guys.
My mic.
Wish I had one.
Next topic. I'm Doc. I'm representing SarcasticGamer.com.
Achievement Junkie!
We're not very competitive here.
So the first question I have is, what makes, you guys are in a network, but what makes every show unique? Everyone's staring at me.
I think what's great about us is that we can all cover the same content, and the people that we have and the way we approach the show gives us a different take on everything. Like, we go into it from a debate standpoint. We can argue the topics. You have a very lighthearted banter with Nelson. Doc, you come in, what you're getting. It's awesome. It's like, so yeah, I think that what makes us great is the fact that, the combination of people, the way we approach it means that you can take the exact same topic and get 5 different takes on everything.
Yeah.
Is there something common that runs through every single show, though? Why are you in the network if you're all different shows, I guess?
Because we all talk about games, theoretically.
Ooh, we should make a set about that.
We should.
I think that each of the shows in the Gamercast Network takes it on from a totally different direction. If you look at Godfree's community, for instance, it's all about community, and it's a kind of a mixture of the music and the video games, because that's part of the culture. And if you look at video game show, it brings up a huge... No, it's a huge... it's also community oriented. If you look at all these shows, despite our different approaches to podcasting and our different compositions of our shows, the one thing we have in common, Chris, I think in answer to your question, is the fact that we all have very passionate communities. And I think that's what brings us together, is we have these communities that we all share. We have people that belong to all of our communities or that just belong to one of them, but that's what I think, that's the tie that binds this community.
And how did you guys all get into the same network together?
I got an invitation from, this mic is so far. I got an invitation from Chad and the crew. We've been friends for a long time when they used to be at Dream Station, right?
Yeah.
Dream Station. We used to cross promote all the time, and we're like, hey, let's create a network. This is a great way for us to promote each other and get both of our audience to to check our shows out. So from there.
Yeah, and then over time, as things went on, we had other shows we brought on that just added more to the network, added more personalities, more diverse takes on different things. After Godfree, there was Uncle Gamer, and then came along Podtacular came along right after them, and then was Achievement Junkie, and then Sarcastic Gamer, and now Post Game Report, and it just keeps going and going.
Yep.
Cool. What makes podcasting different than things like websites and blogs?
Because you can hear us.
You can hear us anywhere and everywhere. You can, put on your MP3 player, go all around, drive your car, go in the airport. With a video, you gotta sit in front of a TV. With a web blog, you gotta be on a computer all the time.
Is that the biggest comment that you guys get? Is drive time on people on their way to work?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
We have something to say at the end.
Well, as far as the difference between a blog and a podcast, I think you get a greater connection to people when you can hear their voice, or in some cases see their face, and it's easier to identify with somebody and have them be your favorite anything if you can actually hear them and see them rather than just the written word. The written word is powerful, but when it's delivered with passion by people that really give a crap about what they're talking about, I think that's when you get a connection. That's when you build a real fan base for your stuff.
What Doc is really saying is when you listen to Doc, you want to fall in love with him.
Wait, what do you mean want to?
Oh, you do.
I don't know what to say, Natalie. Thank you.
Now show me on the doll where he touched it, Doc.
Some of you are very news heavy, some of you are very entertainment heavy. Where do you guys go to get the topics for your show or the news of the day?
Well, for me, I usually get news like through emails. I sometimes check out like the smaller sites, so I used to go to the bigger sites like Kotaku, Joystick, but after a while, I'd rather get information from the smaller sites. And also, if there's any upcoming podcasts and bloggers, also check out gamespress.com. You get a lot of press releases over there too, and information with PRs. So.
What about everybody else?
I tend to browse all the major ones, like all our major RSS feeds, listen to podcasts and that kind of stuff. Some forums I go to, like NeoGAF. Everything's on NeoGAF, so you go there and you get a couple good topics or people's take on things and see what's around.
Yeah. I don't think you really need necessarily a rich content place to mine content from. I think you more or less, at least is what works for us is our show's about ourselves. It's about our friendship that we have with the people we podcast with, and letting video games be the tie that binds. It's something that we have in common, and our content comes from whatever it is that we're talking about as friends about video games, whatever's making news. We try not to. You can go 1,000 places for the latest press release on whatever, but people come because they want a different opinion. They want to hear what you think about it.
Yeah, rarely do I ever go to straight press releases. I just go to where communities gather, our communities, and just see what people are saying, what their takes on things are, and try and go from there and that kind of thing.
What are some of the commitments that you have? I mean, podcasting takes up quite a bit of time. You got to do the research or not. You got to get the agendas prepared to do the editing. What are your commitments to your listeners?
We have a policy for a once-a-week show. That went out the window real quick. We like to keep it light, try to keep it around an hour. But our commitment is that you come to us. We don't you don't pay anything, but you have an expectation of the content you're going to get. So if we sit down and say this is a bad show, we'll scrap it. We'll make sure it's a great show for you. Beyond that, that's really our commitment right there. We try to make sure we talk about things intelligently. We don't want to sit there and be a couple of guys in front of a microphone and not know what we're talking about.
Yeah. Video game show pretty much records for many hours, and then I spend many hours editing it down to a very nice, fast-paced 30 minutes.
How much does everybody spend editing while you talked about editing? Doc has a very professional-sounding show. How much time do you guys spend editing?
We started off, it was taking 3 or 4 hours to edit that 30-minute show, and because we keep it to 30 minutes, it's getting more consistent, but now Dave's knocking them out in a couple of hours, and it's all about sharing the work. I mean, we have several layers. I know, Chad, you're the only editor for your show. If Dave goes down in a hole, he falls in a manhole, then we can still put a show out. We have duplicate. He's going to fall in a manhole on purpose. You better not. But I think, but if I could address the question you were talking about with contract with our listeners, last year, Godfrey, you sat on a panel here, and I listened to it via podcast. There was a gentleman from, I think it was Joystick, was on your panel with you?
Yeah, I did. Chris?
Yeah.
Chris from Joystick.
And he said something that I mean, we were just starting Sarcastic Gamer at the time, but it's something that I took to heart, and I kept it, and that is, if you want people to be there for you, and it goes with blogging, podcasting, whatever, if you want your listeners to be there every Monday when you put an episode out, then by God, there better be an episode out every Monday. Yeah. Otherwise, you're not going anywhere, because you're not going to have people aren't going to make you a part of their week. So you make a contract with them and you say, I'm going to be there for you, and then they'll be there for you. They'll reciprocate. But I don't think that with podcasting, if you want it to really take off, I don't think you can do it hit or miss. I don't think you can just do it when you want to, because there are going to be times you don't want to. You just don't feel like it. But you keep up your end of the bargain.
Yeah. It's hard to do, though. I mean, Achievement Junkie went from a once-a-week show to a daily show to some vidcasts, and now we're like every other week. So every Monday, you'll tune in and we'll say, we'll be back in 2 weeks. But it's just because our life has changed a lot, and we've been doing it for 2 years, so you really just have to adjust. But I do agree, you have to sort of set a commitment and try to be consistent.
I think we have a question here.
I've got a couple of questions, actually.
Please present yourself, though.
I'm Finster from the Post Game Report, which is a podcast on talking about. You shut up. Now, I was here at PAX last year, and you, Godfrey, you had a panel discussion that was on. You had your PAX panel, but also a podcast discussion with a bunch of us bloggers and whatnot that you had on Gamertag Radio, and you had asked a question at that panel about, do we do we consider ourselves journalists or not? And at that time,
Oh, no.
I was like, yo, totally, I'm a journalist. I'm trying to get interviews, I'm trying to get news, I'm trying to get information and whatnot. Since then, a year has gone by, and right now, I'm of the opinion, no, I don't consider myself a journalist because I'm having too much fun. And I'd rather have fun than worry about whether or not I'm getting enough news to people. And so I was kind of curious, all of you guys, what your feelings are now as time has gone on. You're all pretty successful podcasts, and do you consider yourself journalists or and then I've got another question too, and this is for Jay. Phoenix was wondering if you feel good about making him play on hard and you played on easy on Rock Band so you could win, and if you felt okay about that.
Actually, that is not true.
It's true.
No, we actually both played on medium, and he reached a point in Kids of America where he felt that he was no longer appropriate to sing, and the audience was in agreement.
He was actually playing on hard.
No, he wasn't.
Can we go back to
He actually wasn't.
His first question, though, because I think it's a good question about.
Yeah, we talked about
journalism
that a couple of weeks ago. Yeah. So.
Yeah, and I think journalists get paid, and I don't think any of us are getting paid. So.
No, we're not getting paid.
But I think that journalism is a job, and what we're doing is something else. It's a passion, and we're not restricted by things, and it's kind of nice sometimes that I don't have to. I can put something on a blog and not overthink it.
I think we're in between, like both. We're community and journalists. So, Chad, you feel the same way, or you think?
I don't think I'm a journalist.
No, you don't think so? I think it all depends on who.
I just do this for fun. A commitment to the listeners, trying to bring them some news, and I do it to talk with my video game show is more of a conversational kind of show where we have dialogue every week and talk about gaming news and try and present some of that to the listeners.
Now the question is, when are we journalists? When? Because we have connections. We go to events. We do interviews. With a lot of people from the gaming industry. So when is the right time for us to say, look, we're journalists? Because right now they see us still as a community's website.
Yeah.
So does it matter?
No, it doesn't matter.
I don't think it matters.
It doesn't matter, but I want them also to open the doors for us to get access. That's the only reason.
That I understand, but I don't think you necessarily need a label.
No, we don't.
To get there.
No.
What would you say is the difference between community and journalism, though? What's the missing?
Community, we're doing this out of the love.
So are you saying as soon as you get paid, then you're a journalist?
No, but I consider Xbox 360 Fanboy a community website, even though they're getting paid by AOL.
Yeah.
Because they are involved with the community. They're involved with the smaller sites, not like the IGNs and the 1UP and stuff. So.
I think if you look at it from the standpoint of journalism is a tendency to present facts, and that's great for written media. But when you're dealing with audio, you can present facts for about 5 minutes, and then it gets really boring. When you sit there and you talk about something with passion and you're invested in it and you love it, that love comes out in your voice. You can hear it, you can feel it. That's a whole different kind of show. So
I feel it right now.
That's my leg. That's my leg.
I don't want to feel it.
And you hate facts too, so that works out perfectly.
No, we don't hate facts. We just hate dealing factually with press conferences.
Do you guys, and then we'll get to the question, do you guys get a lot of email? Yeah. What's that?
I had a comment about the difference between a journalist and a blogger. I agree with Jay. When you're a journalist, and I have extreme respect for journalists and bloggers, because either way, journalists are very passionate about presenting the facts, being in the moment, giving you the who, what, when, where, why of an event, of a theme, of a topic. As a blogger or a community member, it's your heart, it's your opinion. And when you're a journalist, you can't be biased. But as a blogger, this is your personal opinion of what you think about a game, what you think about the color of the sky.
It's blue.
Not in Seattle.
Just saying. Do you guys get a lot of nasty emails, though, saying you got this fact wrong? It was 10 and you said it was 15, or it was you didn't get to the second level, because you can save in the second level.
Yes.
It happens.
Our fan base, whenever we say something wrong, once you can adjust the volume on your Wiimote, you get thousands of emails then saying, the question was, Keith couldn't adjust the volume on his Wiimote, and we got thousands saying, yes, you could. Yes, you can adjust it. Many, many, many people saying that over and over again, coming in our forum saying you do it over and over again. So, yes, we get many emails.
So, can I ask a question?
Yes.
So, we've been podcasting for 2 years, and I've gone back and forth in terms of listening to people's feedback and like crawling into a corner and starting to cry, and then sometimes just laughing at it. How do you guys deal? And then I take a shower with my clothes on. How do you guys deal with some of the criticism that you guys get? This is like a therapy session for me.
I always look at the criticism and judge it and evaluate, and if it's recurring themes, I say, then something's there. But
it gets hard, though.
Yeah,
it gets really hard sometimes. Like, I don't know. Sometimes I take it personal.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, I don't want to get this mad. But
so I shouldn't go to their house and put them in a headlock?
I think with feedback, that's gonna help us, make the shows better. So, give us your feedback. But I think it all depends. So they gotta say it the right way, even though it's if it's like the bad or a good feedback, So
not just say your sucks or and that kind of stuff. It's a little more than that.
Like don't go to iTunes. Don't go to iTunes and give us a 1 star just because you don't like us. I mean, listen to the show and give us a reason why you don't like it.
Yes. And don't put it on iTunes.
Yeah, please. Great feedback. Please.
4 and 5 stars are great, though. I think criticism is also a motivator, and it doesn't. You don't necessarily have to take it to heart. But think about it. Somebody you don't even know took time out of their day to write to you. As long as they're not an idiot, as long as they're really presenting their issue. That's an emotional response. Positive, negative, every form of entertainment is about eliciting a response from your audience. So if you elicit a response where someone gives a crap enough about your show to write in, they're a listener, and they're going to be back because they want to see what if you react to that or if you change your ways.
Right.
So I think it's all about getting a connection, and that's one type of connection. It may not be the most fun to read, but it's viable.
Did you ever crawl in a corner and cry, Doc?
No, we had to talk Lano down from a ledge a couple times.
Just wondering.
Hey, Chris, question? You want to ask a question?
Yeah.
Okada.
What do you guys think of all of this, the new saturation of podcasts and video game websites that are coming out where pretty much everybody thinks, I can get free swag if I come out with a show and put something out, and I can get all kinds of inside information from a developer because I've got this new website. How do you think that's going to affect the podcasting credibility for those much like yourselves who have been doing this for a while and are doing it for more than just give me free crap?
Right. It's a really good question.
Bring it on. I say everybody start your own show, but be ready to work your butt off.
I think that's a very good response. I'm not as positive and gung-ho about it. What I really think is that when you look at people podcasting, I mean, it's a fun thing. Everyone can do it, right? You can record, and you can. It's amazing all of the tools that are available. But I do think that there's a commitment level that you don't sort of have to deal with those struggles until maybe the 3rd month in, and then you got a critical email, and then you're like, why am I doing this? And it's 9:00 at night, and I'm supposed to record tonight. And sometimes you have those feelings, and your life doesn't always coordinate with being able to podcast. And I think at some point with as many podcasts that are out there, unless you're ready to deal with that head on, I think at some point they're going to sort of fade out, and then it just sort of muddies the water a little bit, and it gets hard to find the people that are going to be in it for the long haul. I guess you just have to wait a little while to find those people,
because
they'll stick it out.
And free stuff doesn't fall out of the sky either.
Oh, hell
no.
Free stuff doesn't just start coming to your mailbox. It takes a long time to get anybody to recognize you as an outlet that they want to be associated with.
And another thing, please, be unique. Don't copy the next person, man. If everybody's doing the same thing, it's just gonna get boring, and nobody's gonna get listeners at all. So.
And please don't start your podcast with "What have we been playing?"
Yes, that's another thing too.
Doc, what have you been playing?
What are you saying? No, I'm saying that there's plenty of those that start that way. No,
there are a lot of people.
The whole show's about that, really.
Yeah. I'll say this: I think competition is going to help drive you to be better. When you have people who are sitting here trying to do what you're doing and doing it a different way, it drives you that much harder to succeed. Competition is always good, and in the end, the cream will rise to the top.
And be different. Do a podcast without any words.
That's good.
That would be a great podcast. That would be a great podcast.
Just a squeaking podcast.
Yeah,
I'll subscribe to that.
We got another question?
Yeah, this is Phil from the Video Game Show on Gamercast Network. My question is for you. What are your stands on fanboys or forum trolls? Could they be beneficial, or are they just a pain in the ass and just cause too many problems?
Define forum troll.
Well, kind of like the people that say, all right, your information's incorrect, or no,
people just looking for
my
attention. My
opinion's better than yours.
Yeah.
Fanboys and stuff.
Twitter accounts too? Twitter?
No comment.
Okay.
I think they're good for the community, actually. Every once in a while, your community needs somebody to beat the crap out of, and these guys walk in.
It brings attention.
Yeah. So you want all the trolls to go to Sarcastic Gamer forums? All the trolls.
Bring it, because our community will bury you. But no, it gives everybody something to do, and it can brighten up an interesting day, and it also leads to lots of page views as people refresh. So.
Yeah. I think fanboyism is a good thing, though. I mean, I think theoretically everyone's just really excited about whatever it is that they're excited about. I think you do have to be realistic and understand who you're talking to, and not be. You try to be human about it, but in general, I think it's a good thing.
I see fanboyism just like an extension of the passion and love you have for gaming. I mean, everyone's got their favorite. Everyone's going to be behind one game. If you're a troll, though, you're out.
Trolls are hot.
Trolls are hot?
Yeah.
Hot.
So I record a podcast with a buddy of mine who lives in Belgium and who's from Belgium, and while he knows the international market, I'm from here, so I really don't.
Awesome.
How do you guys really address the international market and the international fans?
Very good question.
That's a good question.
We don't. We actually had somebody who was giving us like 2-minute clips
From UK, right?
from the UK.
yes.
Yeah, I will say, I found that we have a lot of listeners from the UK, and I never understood why, but because I never really associated with an international podcast. So,
But I mean, we all getting the same information for everybody, so there's no difference. I mean,
Keep doing it though. That's different.
I think the international. I mean, we thrive off the international community that we built, and like he said, the UK is incredible, but we're also seeing a lot of stuff from Central Europe and Asia is starting to make their way into our community as well, which is fantastic. I think it's just about making sure that you have a community there that's ready for people with all these different viewpoints and stuff. And I recommend, if you have forums and stuff, you need to bring on more people from Europe and from those areas, not just for the diversity they bring to the community, but also so you can sleep at night and you got eyes on the site. We got a guy in Poland that watches our forums for us all night long. It's just like fantastic.
Australia too.
Australia's
been crazy lately.
Yeah.
Thanks for the question.
Very good question.
All right. Well, I'm a podcaster that nobody listens to my podcast. I don't care.
What's your podcast name?
Toncast, Toncast.
Go listen to Toncast.
Good luck getting a recent episode. That's kind of the problem. Me and my roommate, we have a really lot of good tete-a-tete. I mean, we have a definite chemistry, and I really like the podcast, but he really is really lazy about it. He really just how do you convince someone to podcast?
Honestly,
you can't.
You can't.
You can't, man.
You can't do it. If your heart's not in it, your heart will never be in it. You can't be convinced that this is what you want to do.
You need to find some people that share your passion level, and with the internet, you don't need it to be your roommate, man.
It's so hard though, because I try to find people that can pretty much speak pretty well.
Well, PAX is a great place.
Yeah, I mean, you're right here. You're
right here. Let me see. How many podcasters we have here? See, right there. You could talk with them right there.
I don't know. My roommate will like this.
Yeah.
The answer is duct tape. Wrap them up in the chair.
It rubs the lotion on its skin or gets the podcast.
Peanut butter works.
I got another piece of advice though for that. When you're seeking out your host, don't look for people that share your opinion. You need to find people with diverse opinions, someone with whom you can disagree with constantly, and still remain friends and keep working together. But nobody wants to listen to people agree with each other for an hour. That's boring as hell.
I agree.
I agree.
I disagree.
Oh, it's so horrible.
Well, then I don't agree with me.
So, okay, if anybody wants to do a podcast with me,
He's got duct tape
He'll be in the back of the room today, right after the show.
Emails, man.
Right after the panel.
thegamer@gmail.com.
Good luck, dude.
Good luck, man.
Already go.
It's awesome. Hi, my name is Rachel, and I'm actually from a different podcasting world. I'm from the Harry Potter fandom, and I do a podcast called Snapecast that has been going for about 2 years and has a really wide listener base. And I had a question kind of going back to the journalist versus fan or community member. One really interesting phenomenon within Harry Potter podcasting has been that we have these two really, really big podcasts that actually the creators of the podcasts do get paid to do them, and it is their 24-hour or 24/7 job. Do you think that that is the future of podcasting? And if not, what do you think the future is?
Personally speaking, I think that if you go into this expecting to make money, you're going to be very disappointed. As someone that's been doing this for about a year and a half now, I have no expectation to ever make money for it. And if I did, I'd feel stupid for doing it. I do this every week because when I get in front of the microphone, we sit down, I have fun with it. I'm talking to my best friend, and that's really the only reason I do this. If he were to go away, I'd just stop doing it.
I love my friends. So wait, did you say you would feel stupid for getting paid to podcast? Or you just saying you love it so much?
You know what? Part of it is the fact that I'd feel like a charlatan, because here I am. I don't feel like I'm some big Joe Schmo. I get in front of a charlatan. I know. I feel like I'm in the 60s.
Can you define charlatan, please?
I get in front of a microphone every week. I talk about what I love. I don't have any credentials. I don't have any qualifications. I just know what I like. I know what I love. I've been doing this. I've been playing games since I was 5. Someone coming along paying me, be like, why? Are you?
So you're the forum troll that got upset because we had advertising on our podcast. Basically.
No.
I think that I disagree with you completely, Jay. We all started because of the passion, but as the shows get bigger, as the communities get bigger, and we have to spend more and more of our time, I mean, our lives pouring every moment we have into like fixing things or paying bills and mounting hosting costs and all that stuff. If anyone would like to pay us to do Sarcastic Gamer podcast, we'll take it. Bring it. I mean,
yeah, exactly, man.
I got $1 in my pocket.
But it's because, and it's not because I want to make this big pile of cash. It's because we have assembled an audience. This is all these shows have that's worth something to an advertiser. Yep. And as long as you're true, you're not testimonializing about things that you hate, that you're just doing it for the money. As long as you're recommending products to your fan base that are relevant to them, that you personally enjoy, there's nothing wrong with that. I think podcasters are the new. This is the new media, and we should be taken seriously. And it's taking a while for companies to get it. That these audiences to podcasts, they're not like a TV audience or a radio audience where people can punch by and happen to catch it. People that catch these shows went looking for it. They're very passionate about whatever. It doesn't care if it's a cooking podcast or a gaming podcast. These people are so passionate that they got on iTunes or they got on the internet, they found a show, they sync it up, then they get on after the show and talk about what they said. Podcasting is way more effective than any other type of media, I think.
You say it, brother.
Amen to that.
Here's a question for you. Have you had advertising on the podcast yet?
We've had a little bit, yeah.
Yeah. Would you accept advertising from maybe a game developer?
What's up?
That's a good question. I think.
Where does that money come from?
Gamerscore Blog, please hit me up.
Yes, yeah.
All right.
I would take the money.
You would?
I wouldn't necessarily. We don't do reviews on our site, so it's not like we're going to tell you that the game's great or not. These are gamers. They're coming to our site. Why not let people advertise their video games? I mean, it's just about being real. I mean, I'm not going to sit there and say, you need to buy, Too Human,
Too Human is good, man. It's not.
If I don't like the game, I'm just saying. I'm not going to tell somebody to buy something that they shouldn't.
Would you take ads from a game that you didn't like? So if Too Human wanted to put ads on your site, would you run them or would you not run them?
Yeah, because I'd let them run. I'm just not going to get on there and start changing my opinion about it over it.
Yeah.
So what if it compromised the income though, and you needed it to pay Libsyn?
Right, but I'm not. In other words, if the folks at Too Human were okay with us saying that, some of us saying that we didn't like it, and they still wanted to put ads on, that's fine. As long as we don't have to change the tone or the message of our podcast or of our community, then it's fine. There's no problem with that.
Yeah, I just wanted to add real quick, and then I'll sit down, that it's a pretty slippery slope because in the Harry Potter fandom, right now there's a fan lawsuit going on where Warner Brothers is suing a fan, and pretty much the podcasts that are sponsored by Warner Brothers take a very biased opinion on this. So because if they don't, it's not just their podcast that goes away, it's their job. Yeah. So I think as podcasters, we all need to watch out for this and make sure that we maintain this indie media feeling that we have, because it's so valuable.
Yeah. Good question. Good question.
and it's been hit on a couple times so far, but I think the number one, I'm just moderating, I just wanted to get this out there. We receive hundreds of emails a day that said, hey, I just made a blog. Hey, I just made a podcast. Can you send me an Xbox? And you go to the website, and it's one post, and it's a forum with one thread and one person in it, and they made it 2 days ago, and we get hundreds of those every day. You can't do it to try and get free stuff. If you do it and you stick with it, you know, maybe something will happen, who knows, but you got to go in it for the right reasons.
Yeah.
All right, I'm off my soapbox now. Go ahead with the question.
Thanks, Chris.
Most podcasts are audio. I was just wondering what your opinion was on video podcasts.
I think that's the future.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people are uploading a lot of videos on YouTube and Blimp, right? Blimp? Yeah, Blip. Yeah.
With a P.
With a P, yes. And yeah, I think that's the future, man. I mean, now I know people that download video podcasts and they put their Zoom connected to the 360 and watch their episode right there too. You know, besides just with the computers and Zoom players. So
the only other thing, I mean, no. Personally, I've always wanted to do more video on the video game show, but it's always like there's more editing time, more post-production work, and it's like
it's visual and audio.
Yeah, it's visual and audio, and once you're committed to trying to get a weekly episode out that's audio and trying to do more on top of that with video, then you're just like, you need a staff.
Yeah,
people.
you do.
I think audio trumps video right now and for the foreseeable future because of the immediacy. Unless you're just sticking up any random video whatsoever, I can have something happen in that room. I can record the audio with an interview or a meetup. I can have it on the internet and ready to go in minutes, and it's going to sound slick because I can do all my pre-production and everything and have that templated and ready. Whereas with video, you have to spend a little more time. You have to transfer it to some sort of editor. You have to add all that stuff. So until we get to the point where we can edit video just as quickly as audio, I think audio still beats it, and it's more portable. You can't watch a video podcast in your car. You can't. It's hard to watch it when you're working out on the treadmill, bouncing around.
I think it's the next logical step of evolution for podcasts, though. I mean, video games by their nature are a very visual thing. It would make sense for you to have a video game podcast where I can show you game footage. I can show you what I'm talking about in a game. Audio is great. It goes only so far, though.
Yeah, it's funny. We did vidcasts for almost daily vidcasts for about a month. Nelson went crazy editing them about 8 hours a day. And some of our fans actually got upset because we decided to go video. But
you were doing both, though. It was the same.
That's the funny thing is anytime you record video, you get audio. So if you didn't get to see it, you can always just download the audio version. But you'd be surprised that people felt really strongly about just having the audio version.
Now, Doc, you guys always doing videos, and you guys get more hits through the videos than the podcast, right? Is it? Or no?
Well, I mean, it depends. Like we did a couple of parody songs that went crazy and got like 2 or 3 million views on YouTube, and which is awesome.
Are you planning still to do more videos though?
Yeah, we'll do more videos, but that's not those things are more like our marketing. We don't have any money, so we don't have any money to go buy ads somewhere. So we put together a parody video, How You Killed Your Brand or whatever, Ring of Fire, and we'll throw that stuff out there.
You heard that, Chris?
And get that viral stuff going out there. But for us, I mean, our staple is our audio podcast, and when we get to the point where the separation that we have with one of our key co-hosts in Chicago can be transcended by video, we can overcome that easier and do a video podcast. That'd be great. But until then, audio is where it's at for us. All right.
The other thing that's a little scary about vidcasts, and I'll just put it out there, and I don't know if it affects guys the same way as it does girls, but anytime someone's able to see you, they're so critical of how you look. That is scary.
It's true.
And so that's another thing that you sort of have to be prepared for. And maybe it's just more critical for any female that you get to look at, but it's definitely a big issue.
Uh-oh.
Silence.
Thanks for the question.
Waldo.
Well, I found you.
He found you.
Yeah, Waldo. Woo!
I would first like to know, I was late because I couldn't find my badge. Is anybody going to be podcasting this panel so I could watch it later?
Right here, sir.
Godfree Hobbit on Gamercast Radio.com.
All right, sweet.
Exclusive.
World exclusive, Godfree.
My actual question, though, is I've been doing the podcast for 2 years. RA Podcast, sorry, I have to plug it.
Do it.
Yeah, but I've been doing it for 2 years, and it's just like, where can I go to actually figure out, to get peer feedback on it? Like, if I can get other people to listen to it, it's actually like, oh, your audio, you need to cut down on the bass here, you've been popping, your explosives, your other stuff like that. Is there any place that somebody can go to actually get
do you have like links exchange, like cross promote with other websites?
Not at the moment, no.
You need that.
You need that big time.
You need a group of people that you can hang out with like that. That'll help each other out.
Okay.
But with regard to that stuff, man, I mean, crap. Email me. Email one of these guys. I'm happy to listen and give you some feedback on it. I think. I mean, technically, we could go into that. We could do a whole panel on just the technical stuff on podcasting.
I was going to say, are there one or two rules that you think every podcaster should adhere to that would help?
Don't use Skype.
No Skype. No Skype. No Skype.
Well, what else
I use Skype.
other than
What
Skype?
should you use instead of Skype?
Skype works great as long as you've got two people.
Yeah.
What do you use instead of Skype?
What we do is we monitor via telephone. We get on a conference call, and then everyone records their own local copy of their audio. And then we sync it up. We do a countdown at the beginning, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 mark. We all say it at the same time, so that when Dave gets it in the editor, when it's time to put it together, all he has to do is line those up, and now everyone sounds like they're right there in the same room together.
Yeah.
It's a great tip. It works really well. And with long distance, you can use Skype to monitor, listen to each other, but record your own audio right there in front of you. And now everybody, you don't even need a nice mic, and it'll sound 10 times better than Skype.
And if you're in the same local area too, that's even a plus. If you're in the same area, so.
We have a really cool built-in mic that also records it. You can use Skype to listen, but record through the mic. It's an H2. It's about $190 or so, and it has an SD card. So, you know, if you guys are long distance or if somebody's recording in Belgium, you guys could just record right to the mic and then upload your feeds. Just sync it up the way he suggested.
But doing an hour-long podcast, if you're recording in WAV format, that's a 600, 700 megabyte file.
You need bigger hard drives.
You can. Well,
I'm talking bandwidth issue.
How do you transfer the file?
On the issue of size, you can convert everything over to MP3s, and that's technical aside, you can do that. But I will fight for Skype for a second. You can actually use Skype if your people on the podcast are trained not to talk over one another. If you kind of know what you're doing and how you're saying. If your crew works good together, Skype isn't really a problem. If you edit some, you have to do some editing, that kind of stuff. But your post-production time is going bigger and bigger and bigger, and hence lots of hours of editing.
Right, because your show sounds good.
Yeah, well, the video game show does a good job of it, but I mean, there's so many Skype casts out there where it's just insane, hard to listen to. But also remember, when you're done, you're not putting out a wave, right?
No.
You're putting out MP3, right?
Yeah.
So why, if it is that big a deal as far as moving those files around, why not just go ahead and convert it to an MP3 or record as an MP3? I mean, seriously, you're going to be an MP3 when you're done. You're still going to sound a lot better if you're recording a local copy. So do the MP3 and send that out to somebody, whoever's doing your editing, and don't worry about it. You don't need to be an audiophile about podcasting unless you're just doing some kind of weird surround sound, podcast or something.
Which would be kind of cool, really.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
All right, thank you.
You got it, man. Good question.
Hi, this is Plugel. I am a Sarcastic Gamer community member. I had a question for Doc and everyone else, but do you ever get annoyed with the community?
Do I get annoyed?
Big time.
Only when they seek out my personal information, Plugel. No, he sent me my home address on email one day. I was like, oh, okay. We get annoyed, but it's video games. I mean, they're going to really have to do something wrong to ruin my day on a forum about video games. We're here to hang out with each other, and I can just click away from whatever it is they're doing. It's when they get in, they're disruptive. The only thing we won't stand for, and I know this goes for the whole GCN, is people are hateful to one another. There's no room for that. We're here to hang out with our friends, right?
Yeah.
If you're hateful, if you're racist, if you're sexist, whatever, you're gone. And we don't have any tolerance for that. But other than that, it's hard to annoy you when you're hanging out with people talking about video games.
What about vegetarians? Is that all right?
You could just do vegan. That'd be good.
It's good.
Good question. Thanks man.
Hey guys, this is Truth and Justice from the Sarcastic Gamer forums, and
close on the mic, please.
Oh, sorry, Dan.
Yeah.
He is standing up.
Yeah, I'm short. So, anyway, I don't really have a question, just a comment for you guys, and it's important that you guys know that the reason why I'm here today, a lot of the people who listen to your show every week, is because you guys are in the forums, you're in the communities, you're interacting with them. You don't get that with the bigger sites. You don't get that that feedback. I mean, I get to play with you guys on live. I get to hang out with you guys, and you guys need a big round of applause for just being there for your community and being part of it. And that's why you guys are successful.
Thanks, man.
So.
Thank you.
Thanks.
You're saying you get a warm, fuzzy feeling inside? I like that feeling.
Can I have a hug later?
Hi, Chris Brown from the Married Gamers.
Hey, Chris.
Hey.
Hi.
How do you deal with people who are a little too enthusiastic, maybe, about following you? Maybe they're stalkers? Because we've had some, and we're still pretty much in our infancy. And how do you deal with trying to, at least with us, we have people trying to ask very personal information about my wife, via Xbox Live and whatnot. How do you maintain that balance of trying to be pro-community with, and still maintain some level of, or modicum of privacy and
I think when it's too much, just block them. That's what I do.
Yeah, I think it's some of it has to do with probably the female aspect, and that is a challenge. I get some notes sometimes. It makes me laugh. I get poems too, which is special.
I love you, Natalie. You didn't like my poem, Natalie?
I love it. I love it, dog. I think you just have to be smart about the information that you share. Make sure your address isn't located anywhere online. Try to use as much protection as possible, and all types of protection. And yes.
But I think you also, though, when you're doing something like this, you're putting yourself out there, and so there's a certain degree of this that's going to come along with the territory. Obviously, somebody trying to stalk your wife or something, that's cool.
That's a little bit way too much.
But when you're talking about, you're putting yourself out there, you want people to identify and connect with you. That means you're going to have to let down some walls, okay? You're going to have to let some things be fair game, and the things that aren't, ignore them. But, people are going to want to know more about you because they're passionate about what you're doing. So, you're going to have to kind of weigh it out there. You can't be, internet famous and private.
Yeah.
Completely private.
And there's a lot less of them than, there's a lot more support than there are the crazies.
Redirect their energy, though. If they're, really all over you, redirect them. Make them a forum moderator. Put them in charge of, pixel, moderation or something weird. Just make up a title. But redirect their energy and give them something to do, and now they'll feel a little more, maybe they'll end up coming around.
Thanks.
Good question.
Hi, I'm Tim T. I run Kotakuite.com. It's the official podcast for Kotaku, and I've been running around the show floor doing interviews and all kinds of crazy stuff for our podcast with my co-host over there.
Hello.
And,
what's up, man?
And we've handed out 7,000 business cards, and the first question we always ask is, do you listen to Dig Nation or One Up Yours, and do you read Kotaku? And the answer for Kotaku is always no. I can count the amount of people who know what Kotaku is on two hands. So I'm wondering now, maybe it might have been a mistake to do a podcast unofficially for Kotaku. So I just want any thoughts and comments.
Why did you do that?
I did that specifically because I'm a huge fan of Kotaku, and it's got a really large install base, but apparently not at PAX.
Let me ask you, when you wake up in the morning, do you love what you do?
Absolutely.
Keep doing it.
Well, not my day job, but yeah.
No one loves the day job. If you love what you do, keep doing it. Even if it goes nowhere, as long as you get the satisfaction out of it, that's what's important.
Is Kotaku giving you the love for it?
No, there's no love from Kotaku.
If it's not,
if you find
if you're not getting it two ways, if you're putting your life into something, unless you're doing a fan site about Brian Crescente's hair or something.
No, nothing like that.
Then
his hair, nice hair.
Do your own thing, man. Apparently, if they're not interested in what you're doing enough to give you some love on the site and give you some information, at least an occasional link over to what you're doing, then obviously you need to find something a little more that's yours. Do something that you can own and take possession of.
Yeah.
Take your listeners with you and just go do something else.
There's a weird parallel, though. So you're doing a Kotaku. I'm sorry.
But we're kind of doing the same thing.
I was just going to say, you're doing a Kotaku
right?
fan site, and people are doing Xbox fan sites. It may be on a little bit different scale, but
see, there's a difference, though.
But
the thing is, there's a difference. You giving us the love to us. Kotaku, I don't know if they're going to do the same thing with them,
We can't give love to every single podcast that's out there.
No, I know. That's true.
I don't know. It's kind of a smart thing to tack onto a brand, business-wise. But I think, I don't know, maybe you're better off just doing, renaming the site. You could get your information from Kotaku and you can reference them constantly. So maybe then you won't have so much of a feel like you're committed in that way because it'll still be yours.
Right, but I mean, it still totally is ours because it's basically like, you know how like Dignation, they basically just kind of read their own news posts, but you know, it's totally their own spin on it. It's kind of like that, but then it's also kind of evolved into this other thing because I've got buddies at Valve and I've got buddies at DigiPen and all over the industry, and so it's kind of evolved into this more of this really weird oddball social commentary, which is kind of Kotaku is kind of like a...
It sounds like you outgrew a fan site. That's what it sounds like. It sounds like you started a fan site and you outgrew it, and so now it's time to just go do your own thing. That's what I think.
Yeah, don't be afraid to transition in at least.
Yeah.
I mean, if you feel the love for it, you should keep doing it. But if Kotaku's not giving you the love, then redirect your love somewhere else.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Good question.
Find your own love.
By the way, just to spur some more questions, we are going to be giving away a Triton headset. Do you have that, Jay? Do you have that with you? Who's got it?
Pete?
Hold it up. So let him see what the best question, which I kind of got my own idea of what that is already, but the best question is going to win this fabulous prize. So we're not afraid of bribing people to make our panel kick ass.
All right.
It's Triton AX360 headset. So it's right here for the best question.
My question
Get to thinking.
is, do you shave your legs? Give me the Triton.
You know you want to know.
Oh, shout out to Bobby from allgames.com. Great podcast. All right. Cool.
All right.
As companies start to take and produce content in-house, how do you guys deal with that? So as EA and Microsoft and some of the other large companies are doing podcasts and they're doing videos internally, does that change the game plan of what you guys are doing in the community?
That is getting really, really hard for us because now they don't need us. They could do their own thing now. I know Madden just recently came out, Madden 09, and they could listen to their own podcasts through the game. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I'm still going to continue doing this, our podcast, but it's a challenge now for us. Like, what's going to happen next year? Is it going to get harder, or are they going to shut us down? Like, they don't want to even deal with us anymore because now they have their own podcasts, their own bloggers.
Godfrey, you do a lot of developer interviews and stuff. Has that gone down at all over the past couple of months? I mean, what do you see as developers? Are they talking less to you and doing their own thing more, or?
I think they don't want to deal with us anymore.
They just want to. Okay.
It's all about money, man. Basically, they want to save money and they just want to, do their own thing. They don't want to go to 10,000 podcasts that they do the same interviews. So the challenge that I have now is what I'm gonna do next year. I got to make some major changes now.
Yeah.
So.
I think that's the thing with podcasting, though. You do always. I mean, our show went through so many changes, and it'll continue to change as we grow and our lives change. But I think the amazing thing about podcasting is that we're lucky enough to have grown our podcast enough. I don't know if we're still on the front page of iTunes. I know you are. A couple of the podcasts are. But we are. At one point, we were 2 blocks away from Morgan Webb on G4 and major companies, and it just gave 2 people recording our living room an opportunity to build an audience and compete with a major company, and I think that's a really amazing thing. It is harder.
Right.
You do have to maintain.
It's harder, but you know what? If you look at these single, like back to what Chris was saying, and what like the Madden podcast that came out, I have not seen any, with the exception of the Bungie podcast. I don't see any of these developer podcasts or these single game podcasts. They might shoot to the top of iTunes right around release day, then they go on into Infinity. They don't get any more updates. They're annoying to see them come up and knock you down a spike because they have that automatic built-in audience.
Yeah.
But they're going away. Bungie's the only one that stays up there. I mean, because they continue to do their podcast and they do a good one.
I think Full Moon Show's pretty good too.
Who's that?
Full Moon Show from Insomniac.
I haven't heard that one.
I mean, personally speaking, I think that developer podcasts are great, but you're always going to get the company line. You're going to get their take on things. You're always going to see things in a really positive, shiny way, and that's not the way the games are. I think that community podcasts have their place because you'll always get a real opinion on something.
And who wants that much information on one game? Seriously, to subscribe to it week after week.
If it's Halo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right. I've never played World of Warcraft. Thank you. Ever.
We got 2 Human hate. We got World of Warcraft hate.
I didn't hate on it. I just said I never played it.
I like 2 Human.
I'm sorry.
I like it.
Go ahead with your question.
Golano.
Hi, my name is Kiki.
Hi, Kiki.
I actually you guys never shut up, first off, of course, because you're podcasters. I've been standing here for, 20 minutes waiting. But Natalie actually kind of went into it, talking about changing how you guys evolved and everything. So is that helping with burnout in the podcasting arena? And how do you handle when your partner in podcasting is starting to burn out and try to, starts missing the weeks? How do you guys keep yourself
duct tape? And no, it is hard. I mean, our life, when we started podcasting, our son was 6 months old, so we did a lot more sleeping. Now we can only podcast at a particular time, and he's now working full time. We didn't have to deal with that. So you kind of, what helps is when you find a game that you really enjoy. Because when we enjoy doing the actual recording, it's the before and after that takes a lot. So we tried to change our show a little bit so that we didn't need to do as much prep ahead of time. So we tried to make it so that it was more about what we were up to. He works for Microsoft with Chris, so he gets to go to a lot of events, and we get to talk about his experiences with that, and I guess that makes the show a little different. And it did change the entire time. So we're just trying to go with the flow and try to continue to have fun while we're actually recording.
So that actually kind of, let me just real fast go, because Nelson does work for Microsoft, so that does it. With your Gamercast Network, it biased you a little bit. I mean, you are more Microsoft focused, of course. I mean,
we were always we were always an Xbox 360 show, and I think it's a really good question because we're also on Inside Xbox now, and we do have to be considerate, and that's why I asked the question. It's sort of like a personal thing, like, do you take advertising? Would you take advertising from a developer? And we feel a little compromised, I wouldn't say compromised. That's probably a strong word. We are really cautious, and I wish we didn't have to be so cautious, and that puts an extra sort of, I don't want to even say burden, but we always have to think about it, and we always have to consider, and we always have to hope we're not stepping on anyone's toes. So our basic rule of thumb is if we don't like it, we don't talk about it. We'll only talk about the stuff that we like, and that seems to be working for us so far. Yeah,
all right,
so far.
Thank you guys.
As far as burnout goes, you need to carry each other through. Everyone's going to hit a low point.
He's heavy.
Yeah.
And everybody helps push the other person through.
We have 8 minutes or so. I'm sorry to cut you off. We have 4 or 5 questions, so that means 2 minutes each for those of us who can't do math. So we got to plow through them.
Okay, so what's the best way to keep the balance between something structured like Dignation or One Up Yours and something like the drunken hilarity of the 24 cast?
I don't even know what he's talking about.
It's really funny. You should check it out.
What we do is we outline the show about 3 or 4 days ahead of time. We get the basic idea of what the topics we're going to cover. That's it. It's like a 5 or 6 items on a sheet of paper, and then you go from there. So that way you at least have a general structure to the show, and what happens in the middle is the spontaneity, and that's where it gets fun.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Hi, 8-Bit Bass from Sarcastic Gamer. Quick question. I'm fascinated with community. So in a podcasting world, how do you dictate the balance between catering directly to your community? You don't want to read emails the whole time. You don't want to play voicemails from call-ins and whatnot. So how do you fit that into your podcast and how much you're going to cater to your community versus what your own agenda would be for that podcast? Thank you.
That's a good question.
I think the first thing you do is you let the community take ownership of what's going on so that you don't constantly have to be super serving any specific individual. If you notice on Sarcastic Gamer, for instance, and I took a page right out of Video Game Show's book with this, and I put sorry, Chad, but we put people in charge out of the community, our loudest, most vocal people. We gave them responsibilities and jobs, and they help be ambassadors, and it helps us be in 100 places at once. So, I mean, I think you delegate to your community and let them do it because obviously they want to be there and they want to help.
Yeah, I mean, on the video game show, we give people on the community some responsibilities and whatnot, but we also do a lot with the community in terms of emails and voicemails. And we usually sometimes devote the end of the show to their feedback and whatnot. So we try and bring it in. I mean, if we have other topics and it has to go to the next show, it does. But we try and constantly keep the community feedback going in there. And there's a phone.
This is why you should turn off your cell phone. My turn?
Yeah. It is your turn.
Cool. Throughout this weekend, I've had the privilege to talk to a lot of podcasters about the art factor of podcasting and stuff like that. And every single one that I've talked to has always been, oh, I'm so passionate about it. And as an artist, I'm a musician, and I play music and stuff like that. I'm very passionate about music, but I'm also very passionate about podcasting. And as podcasting is, you have to be passionate about it. I was considering it an art, and I wanted to know your guys' take on that. Is podcasting art?
Is podcasting art?
Everything's art.
I mean, I edit many hours a week, and I think it's art. I like it.
It helps to call it art when you're that tired, huh, Chad?
Yes.
I got to do my art.
Yeah. No, I mean, probably all the shows here, I edit the most on our show, and I do look at it as creating something unique and entertaining. I try my best to make it at least sound good and sound flow and fast, but entertain people is my actual goal. I mean, yes, to be informative, but also to inform and entertain at the same time.
And for those that don't know, it's a 30-minute show, and it's 15 hours of editing. Is that right?
Something like that, yeah. It's Monday.
We're trying to work on him on that. 15 hours.
Live to tape.
I don't see it as art as the way of, it belongs in a gallery, it's something to be treasured forever. I look at it as it's a piece of yourself, and you put yourself out there, so obviously it's an expression factor, so I see it as art in that factor.
Thanks for your time.
Thanks for the question.
Thanks for the question.
Hey, my name's Robbie. I'm just wondering, in the beginning of a podcast, when you first started, in the beginning of a podcast, when you first start it, how do you present yourself? Where would you present yourself to get people stirred to be able to come to your site and be interested?
How do you promote the podcast in the first couple months?
How do you get it off the ground?
Well, for us, every time we do a lot of interviews every week, what I do is I create a 2-minute promo and create a video out of it. Let's say I have an interview with Saints Row 2 developers. I get the best part of the interview, create a video, put it on YouTube, and it's just going to go around, so that's one of it. And also cross-promote with other websites too, man. We're cool with Bobby from All Games. I'm always telling people, look, check out his website, check out his podcast. So
that's a great promotion. I mean, Sarcastic Gamer wouldn't have gone off the ground without our association with the video game show and GTR and Achievement Junkie. It's about that cross.
Excuse me.
I'm not you.
Jay.
I don't want to get Jay. I was et cetera, et cetera. But it's about that. But it's also about you have to when you first do your first 10 episodes, you have to be willing to. It's for you and your mom to listen to. Mm-hmm. It takes a little while, but again, it goes back to what we were talking about at the beginning. And there were fewer people here. You have to be there for your audience every day that you say you're going to release. You have to be there, and that's how you build your audience, and that's where that comes from.
Don't give up.
You be loyal to them.
Yep.
I just have questions, dude.
He just wants a headset.
One of the methods that our podcast does, particularly if we know that we're not going to make the fully full edited and advanced AAC feed and all the right sound levels balances when we update, usually on the weekends, is we'll just throw out a raw beta, just if we don't got time because we got day jobs and things like that. What do you guys think of throwing just raw betas out before the clearer, better one?
I think you're probably better off learning how to just record live to tape than you are doing that. So in other words, if you don't have the time to edit, rather than putting out a raw show, I would just find ways to just make that raw show your show.
Okay.
I have an opposite opinion. I think you need to just find the time to edit it, personally, because I think that people want to hear the best of what you recorded, and
absolutely,
I think you put the time in editing, and it'll pay off huge dividends for you later.
Yeah, I'm with Chad. Editing is a lot of work and it sucks.
Yeah. So who's getting the free headset?
Can we? I don't know. I think the Harry Potter question. I think
that was
like
good. That was really good. There you go.
With the headset, pimp your podcast again one more time. Hop on the mic.
Right on the mic.
The podcast is Snapecast, and it's a fan podcast for people who are wholeheartedly obsessed with Severus Snape.
All right.
All right.
I want to thank you guys taking time out of your PAX. There's 8 hours left. I know that because I'm going to be standing on the show floor for the next 8 hours or so. So swing by the Microsoft booth and check out all the guys on the Gamercast Network. And thank you for spending some of your Sunday morning with us.
Thanks a lot, man.
Thank you, Penny Arcade.
Yeah.